We are back on the Real News Radio. Again, the website's realnewsradio.com. If you'd like to email us on air at therealnewsradio.com. Al is going to be joining us again. I want to get his contact information so that people in Davie County, I'm asking you to join with Al. Don't have him fighting the good fight totally alone. Join with him and back to Brian, was you aware during the collapsing economy, everyone thrown out of work, Davie County, local government is raising property taxes 6 to 8%. Now Al, 12%, being punished for daring to question the establishment. I'm telling you what, blows my mind.
12% in the middle of a depression, unbelievable.
And we already know the housing prices was inflated to start with. I mean, they've been inflated.
Well, I know my tax value of my house is far above anything I can sell it for.
Yeah, I mean, they're saying this. They're saying now that people's houses are not worth what they owe on them, what they paid for them. The housing bubble was inflated. Now it's burst, all by design. It wasn't an accident, all by design. And Al Cobb dares to fight the establishment, and he's being punished. So I want the people of Davie County, we get him back on to contact him. Once we get done with him, we're going to do just a little bit more in the news. Then we're going to take your phone calls. I'm going to go ahead and give out the phone number so you can write it down. It's a toll-free number. We'll be going through the phones at the bottom of the hour. The phone number is 1-866-986-6397. Again, 1-866-986-6397. We're joined again with Al Cobb. Mr. Cobb?
Yes, sir.
I wanted to, give you an opportunity to tell the listeners your post office box so that they can, anyone in Davie County, I'm asking everyone in Davie County to get in contact with you, to support you, to join you in this fight, not to leave it to you alone. So if you don't mind, if you would, give your post office box so people can get in contact with you.
Okay, Brian. That's Al Cobb, C-O-B-B, Post Office Box 293, Moxville, North Carolina, 27028. And I don't mind, I'll give my phone number if that's okay. It's area code 336-492-7364. And we do need to band together on this because, like I say, individually, like that poor lady having to spend $500, but once she challenged them, you know, and another thing, the way they evaluate your property is, I noticed whenever I went to that review board, which was a joke, it was a sham, but anyhow, they used 3 houses in your neighborhood to compare your evaluation with. Well, that's not fair because so many people are scared of them and just go on and pay it and don't stand up to them. Theirs have gone out of the ceiling. There's one lot next to me that it's a half-acre lot, unimproved, and nobody wants it. And it's appraised. I went and checked before this last evaluation. It was over $18,000. All right, we didn't give but $1,500 a lot in here when these things were blocked off. You talking about inflating stuff. They just inflate it just like our dollar is only worth about a dime, but it says $1 on it. All right, if you go to sell, let's say if I go to sell my house, a real appraiser will come out from the bank for whoever's trying to buy your house, and they're going to evaluate it, and baby, it's not going to be anywhere close to what the county has got it evaluated, because all they want is your revenue. People wake up, we're taxed to death.
Well, I agree with you, sir. I appreciate you joining us today, and we will have you back on. We're going to follow this story. I hope everyone will join with you. I ask everyone in Davie County to grow a backbone and support him. What he has just said is proof that the housing bubble was inflated. You're being taxed at that rate, and this gentleman has the backbone to stand up and fight the establishment. So if you would, Al, before you go, give us your phone number again, and it was a pleasure to have you on the Real News today.
Well, thank you very much, Farron, and I really appreciate your program. It's one of the few that I listen to. We've quit watching FCC controlled TV and all the rest of the news media and stuff like that that's controlled by the federal government, because 99% of it is propaganda. They only give you what they want you to hear. So it's a refreshing break to listen to you and Brian every Saturday from 9 to 11. And that number that you can reach us at is 336-492-7364. and we need all to stand together, help we can get people. So if you're interested in protesting this local county dictatorship that you have no voice in, they decide what's best for you. Give us a call or drop us a letter at Post Office Box 293, Moxville, North Carolina. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Al. And we've got about 4 minutes before we come up on a break. So our guest next week is going to be Virginia Fox, Congresswoman, 5th District. She will be joining us about 9:15. If you would like to email us any questions, feel free to do that, again, on air at therealnewsradio.com. And since we've got just a few minutes left, Brian, before we get started on the news, there's something I want to comment on. This Time magazine says it would be good for America to drop the dollar and replace it with the SDR, short for Special Drawing Right. Tim Geithner likes the idea. This is being reported on InfoWars, Kurt Nemo, and does the IMF. Adopting the SDR as the global reserve currency would correct huge imbalances in global trade and capital flows that are in part the product of the dollar's special status. Justin Fox writes for Time. So here again, we're seeing something we've been reporting on, I guess you could say, for over a year. China's calling for a one world currency. Russia's calling for a one world currency. That traitor, that criminal, Timothy Geithner, to our face tells us he doesn't support a one world currency, but when he's with his cohorts at the Council on Foreign Relations or meeting with Bilderberg or over at the G20, apparently they do. So a release by the G20 at the end of the summit earlier this month stated, we have agreed to support a general SDR allocation which will inject $250 billion into the world economy and increase global liquidity. In effect, the G20 leaders have activated the IMF's power to create money and begin global easing. In doing so, they are putting a de facto world currency into play. It is outside the control of any sovereign body. A graphic accompanying the Time article gets to the bottom of this scheme. It shows the world papered over in SDRs. As the economist Joseph Stitz noted, the usage by central banks of paper fiat SDRs as foreign exchange reserves should be viewed as the prelude to the creation of a single world currency. This was Time magazine, Brian. Any thoughts on it? We got about a minute before we go to a break.
No surprise at all. We've seen this in all mainstream media, of course, under this propaganda, pushing future agendas. It's all truly there for us.
And as the American people stand on the sideline dumbfounded as the Federal Reserve and the Treasury is looting the economy. Your 401's been reduced to a 200.5. You've been thrown out of work. As Al said, your dollar is worth about 10% of what it used to be. It's lost 27% of its value since the year 2000. That's before they started running the printing press 24/7 last October, and $12 trillion disappeared into nowhere. No accountability, no transparency. They don't even tell the Congress who got the money or how much. And we're on the hook for it, the American people. It's unbelievable. And the American people stand around not sure what's happening, and they're moving forward with a global currency being reported in Time magazine.
This is from Timothy Geithner, folks, a former president of New York Federal Reserve Bank, CFR member, Bilderberg member.
I mean, well, we're coming up on a break. We'll be back with more news. You're listening to the Real News Radio on Liberty News Radio Network. Be back in 3 minutes. All right, we are back on the Real News Radio, realnewsradio.com, Farron and Brian. We've got one more news story we're going to cover before we go to the phones, and I'm going to go ahead and give out that number again. It's 1-866-986-6397. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it to Brian.
Caught in the crossfire, the false left-right paradigm and the deception of the American people, by Kevin Newsom. For years, we have been besieged by politicians, demagogues, and media pundits alike concerning the trial